Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Heidi, and I'm joined by the wonderful Arianne.
Hi, everyone.
Today we have some interesting social media news. One of them I saw, this makes me a little sad, but also informed, I guess you could say, because I feel dumb for not realizing some of the things, which I'll talk about in a second. So, unfortunately, a 55-year-old man from Utah has become the state's first rabies fatality since 1944.
Yeah.
Which is so sad. So this man, he had a weeks-long struggle with the infection, and he passed away, I believe it might have been just a few days ago. And this all started because he went to the hospital because he was experiencing neck and back pain. Mm-hmm. But he didn't think it was rabies at the time.
Right.
So that was a very unfortunate surprise. And as I had said, since 1944. So it's not like you often hear people getting rabies and passing away from it.
Yeah,
that's not
like
common.
70-something years?
Yeah, it's been a while. So good for us up until now.
Well, yeah.
So this man is Gary Giles. And as I said, he's from Utah. And there were several medical tests. He had to be transferred within the hospital. He ended up in intensive care. And he was at the Intermountain Medical Center. And according to his unfortunate now widow, Juanita, she said that they had often allowed bats to land on their hands and lick their fingers because they didn't know that bats were infected with rabies.
Really?
Yeah, but she claims they had never been bitten by bats. And this is where I feel like very uneducated and bad, because I don't even think about rabies anymore.
Oh, I so do. I think everything has rabies.
Oh, yeah. I always think of it as like a 1944 problem.
Oh no. See, like any random wild animal to me has rabies. I'm like, oh my God, you're dying of rabies.
Okay, well see, now I'm more like that because I am also a big fan of bats. I kind of think they're cute in a weird way. Oh, you don't like them? Oh,
they terrify me.
Really?
Situation. Okay, a story. I have to tell you.
Please do.
When I worked in a box factory, we would get bats inside the factory once in a while because we have a lot of like doors open for shipping. And they would claim, sometimes, oh yeah, there's a bat in the warehouse, blah, blah, blah. And I've seen a few, like I would hear stories, but then when I was working on a specific machine and every time I would I moved this machine forward or backwards, it was like on a cart and it would beep. It would make a beeping noise, like when a big truck backs up.
Okay.
And so they were like, oh, well, somebody spotted a bat. And I was like, we had radios and everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, bats respond to noise because they're blind, and I had this high-pitched beeping on my cart and it's gonna eat my face off.
Oh my gosh.
I went to the extreme, and it started like flying around like my cart like that I was on, and they were like, oh no, you're paranoid, Arianne, just calm down. And I'm like, no, this bat's gonna eat my face off. And then it like started getting closer, so I threw the radio down and I like jumped off the cart, ran out, and I was like, I am not working right now. Like I cannot do anything. I was so scared. So I left, and well, I didn't like leave the premises, but I like went into the break room, and they were like, somebody came and got me like maybe like 10 minutes later, and they were like, okay, it's safe. You can come back in now. And I'm like, is the bat still there? Because I'm not going in there. If that bat is swirling around this beeping noise, like it has to be following this beeping noise or something. And they were like, yeah, no, we actually killed it. And I was like, how did you kill it? And they were like, yeah, it just, stopped on your cart right where my head was. Like there's like this small mirror and it just like parked itself right on that mirror and they like swatted it away, but it like killed it. So it fell down and it died. But I was like, you see, it was trying to eat my face off. I don't like bats. They're so creepy and gross. And I had to share that story because to me, bats have rabies, and they do.
Well, now I feel very confirmed that bats have rabies. Again, I feel dumb for not thinking about this because I like bats. I think they're kind of cute. They're like sort of weird flying dogs. I like them.
Weird flying dogs.
They are. They're like strange and kind of fluffy, but also kind of scary. I don't know. But I've been told I like little things that people think are ugly. I think are like adorable.
Oh, weird.
So that could be part of
Makes
it.
sense.
Yeah, it makes my boyfriend feel uncomfortable. He's like, what are you trying to say about me?
Right. You're so cute.
Yeah, he's like, oh, God, I can't take that. But I like bats, but now I feel like I can't get near them because I'm scared they have rabies.
Yeah.
But also, this lady said that they were never bitten by bats, but they let bats lick them, which I would not do. I would not touch a bat with my bare hands.
Yeah.
I would never do that. I'm like, okay if they're around me because the bat might have liked you because there might be bugs around you, like mosquitoes that are near people, and so it was eating the bugs. So I'm okay with that, which is weird because I'm okay with bats because they eat bugs, but I'm not okay with spiders, even though they also eat bugs. I can't deal with that either.
Yeah, no.
But so they let bats go on their hands, this couple, and they would let the bats lick their hands because they said the bats liked the saltiness, like their sweat, and that was on their skin.
Rabies can be passed through like bodily, like fluids, though, too. So
that
it's
would
not
make
just
sense.
by biting.
Oh, I'm scared. Okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
And she even
sorry. Okay. No. She even said that they would wake up in the middle of the night to find the bats on their bed. I don't understand how that happens.
That's gross.
How did they get in their house? I mean, I guess they're, no house is completely sealed.
Right.
But
I mean, unless they left a window open or something.
Like a big opening. Also, why would it land on their bed? That's weird. That's kind of gross.
Well,
that's
they've
like
already
a vampire
invited
situation.
it in. Yeah. I mean, if you're letting it, park on your hand.
Yeah.
I say park like it can just, whatever.
Just parallels in.
I know, right? But I feel like that's an invite for you to be like, oh, welcome to our home. It is like vampires. That's
like a vampire. A bat lands on your bed. That's like Dracula.
Yeah.
That's going to suck your blood. I guess like cats, you feed them once and they just keep coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so she said that they would often find them on their bed at night and they didn't want to hurt the bats because the bats, they would like eat bugs and stuff, which as I mentioned before, and that is true. So they would handle them, just pick them up and take them outside. Ugh. But on October 19th, Gary Giles landed in the emergency room. He had intense back and neck pain, and originally they thought maybe it was like a pulled muscle, but his symptoms progressed to numbness, tingling in his arms, and all of that led to muscle spasms. Then he was transferred to the ICU after he began reacting poorly to the medication they put him on. And he was eventually intubated and sedated, with brain scans revealing that he was experiencing multiple seizures every hour.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's terrible. And it's sad. He passed away. He was surrounded by his family. And the Utah Department of Health confirmed that it was a rabies-linked death.
Ugh.
So I also feel like not that bad that I don't know that much about rabies, which has been a long time since a case like this has come up in the U.S., but that's very sad, and I feel now that I should be more educated about it so I know the signs in case something were to happen. Because I feel like I'd always just hear like, oh, it's just like a dog foaming at the mouth, and I would just like, well, I don't see that running around, so it must be gone. Must just be eradicated.
I know.
But I guess that would make sense if the idea of like the saliva can pass it.
Yeah.
Like probably like what you were saying, like if you don't wash your hands and then you touch your face or something, your mouth. Yeah.
Which they probably should have been washing.
Right. You touch any animal, I feel like you should wash your hands.
Exactly.
Especially if it's not your own pet.
Right.
Yeah. Granted, people even let their pets like sleep in their beds and stuff, so that's like a different level. But
yeah.
So a state epidemiologist has warned the dangers of being around bats, and has this is their quote, and they said, if you find yourself near a bat, dead or alive, do not touch it, hit it, or kill it. Call your healthcare provider or local public health department immediately to report possible exposure and determine whether preventative treatment is necessary. Because you can get a rabies shot.
Yeah.
So if you get like bitten by an animal, you might end up getting a rabies shot just in case you get rabies. And so it's preventable. So probably if Gary had known that he had rabies, he would have gotten a shot.
Right.
But they probably just didn't think about it because they weren't being bit.
Right.
They were just around bats, and they weren't really aware of some of the potential hazards.
Sure.
And the vast majority of cases occur in wild animals like raccoons, skunks, foxes, and like other mammals that, again, I would think of more. And also, it's not very common. I'm not going to say this is fact. I feel like it's not as common to have a domestic animal with rabies because we have a lot of shots for that, and we control stray populations.
Yeah, your
stuff.
pets have to be updated on shots
as
well.
Yeah. So I feel like that doesn't happen as often. It's mostly wild animals. And the rabies virus affects the central nervous system, and it may first present itself as a fever, headache, weakness, or discomfort. But then symptoms can advance to insomnia, anxiety, confusion, slight or partial paralysis, excitation, hallucinations, agitation, hypersalivation, difficulty swallowing, and apparently fear of water.
Wow.
That just sounds like it's one that just affects your brain and you kind of just go crazy, which again makes sense whenever people describe like animals or dogs that have rabies.
Oh, yeah.
Is they're just like not controllable.
Right.
You know? And also typically if it goes untreated, death will occur within days of the advanced symptoms.
Yeah. Oh, that's quick.
Yeah, it is fast. And it sounds like that's what happened to Gary. It went very quickly for him. And he pretty quickly progressed into, sedation. So our hearts go out to the family.
Yeah.
Please be careful out there.
Yeah, don't let bats be your
don't.
friend.
Well, yeah, you want to look at them from afar. That's cool.
Yeah,
don't put them on your hand.
Yeah. Don't pet them, Heidi. You like bats.
I'll try. I'll try not to let them lick my hand.
Right. Yeah.
I'll Purell afterwards.
Yeah. Wear gloves or something. Protect yourself.
If you're near animals, you should just be aware. Always wash your hands. I also feel like after all these stories that we always say things like, so just be careful.
I know. Be careful.
That's all. This is like the theme of our social media news.
We're not like a healthcare provider, so we can't give specific, just be careful, guys.
Just be aware.
Right. Exactly.
So with that common warning that we always give you guys, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and keep talking about some social media news.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Hello and welcome back to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast. Our next story is a little more lighthearted, and I found this one actually very interesting because earlier on social media news we were talking about Instagram celebrities and Facebook, like media and everything, people getting famous. And this is a story that I feel like was not intended for fame, but kind of turned into that.
Yeah.
And this is about a young boy. His name is Gavin Thomas. Mm-hmm. And Gavin Thomas made a name for himself in the U.S. when short videos of him playing with his uncle, whose name is Nick Matsadon, quickly became a hit online. Some of these went into Vines. Like if you guys know Vines from the past, they're like short little videos, just a few seconds, but they would kind of like play on repeat, and they were like funny, humorous. And so he got famous because his uncle would post some videos of Gavin on Vine, and they became kind of famous. But it wasn't actually until the videos of Gavin spread to the Chinese cyberspace.
Okay.
And once they did, people in China really reacted to Gavin's videos. They particularly reacted to, there's this video where his uncle places like a lizard on Gavin's head, and he gives like this like nervous smile.
Like a real lizard?
Yeah, like a real live lizard, and he gets like this nervous like smile, and like that like shot him to internet fame. And Gavin has also been in a lot of memes. There's like the video, I'm trying to remember. There's like one where he's like holding a cup and it's like your mom reacting to kids opening presents on Christmas or something. And it has this like sort of smug, like knowing smile.
Oh, okay.
Like, he has a lot of different smiles. He has like a nervous smile. I mean, this is a podcast, so you can't look at it.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. If you saw his face, you'd know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But he has a lot of like awkward smiles, and they've been turned into GIFs, and they've been used as many as 10 million times a day across
wow.
China's social media. Yeah,
Just
it's
some
insane.
random American child.
Yeah, and the story is interesting, particularly because he's like an American kid from like the Midwest, and he became huge in China.
Wow.
Super random. And when he started, he was like a little kid, like a toddler baby.
3, 4?
Yeah, like he could kind of talk,
Okay.
but not super well. And now he's 8. So it's been
wow.
a while that this has been going on.
I hope he's getting paid for these.
I don't think originally he was,
Dang it.
but you'll see, it has become lucrative for him.
Oh, okay.
So he's, as I said, he's more popular in China than the US, which is kind of strange. And since he created a profile 4 months ago on Weibo, which is a Chinese platform, kind of like Twitter, he gained 1.8 million followers, and the number continues to grow.
Oh, wow.
And on Twitter, by comparison, he has 450,000 followers.
Oh, wow,
So
okay.
there's a significant jump of popularity in China. Also, with like all of these followers and everything, GIFs of him are used across all platforms, and it's exceeded 1 billion like in uses and things like that, and the number of basically images that have his face that
wow.
are being used like on like when you can send GIFs on things when you
Right.
like type on like text and message, all of that is used a bunch of times, which is really strange. He also, a lot of people like in China can't identify him by name, but his images are really popular, particularly on this one platform called WeChat, which is a predominant messaging app. It has like 1 billion users across
wow.
China. And his nickname in China is the Fake Smile Boy.
I was just going to ask, what do they call him? Like,
Yeah,
if they
the
don't know
Fake
his
Smile
name, what do they
Boy.
call him?
And it references his like uneasy but like polite smile. Like he has like kind of like curly tousled hair, and he just looks like this like young. He just like he's trying to be kind of nice. Like you say something and you don't want to be rude, so you kind of fake smile back. He just looks like that all the time. And this article that I was reading, it quoted a man named Leo Lai, who is a Chinese social media user. And he is quoted saying, if someone says something embarrassing, but you don't want to shoot it down directly, the fake smile gif can convey your embarrassment while leaving a way out.
So he's obviously used it a lot.
Yes. Yes. It has, Gavin's smile, his like polite sort of awkward smile, has a genuine emotion that apparently hits home with a lot of people in China. It's like a way to express polite reluctance.
Right, because the Chinese culture is they don't. I don't ever hear them like the Chinese people I know. They're very calm. Like they don't scream or yell ever.
I mean, I
Well,
would say in America,
probably do, but-
we're typically, Americans are known to be very blunt.
Oh yeah.
Like in a stereotypical way, very blunt, very loud, very outspoken.
Yeah.
And I would feel like also in a stereotypical way, a lot of people who are Asian or a lot of people in China are less blunt. Like it's like a little more polite. Like the culture is a bit more polite.
Right.
So like one of the reasons people say that this GIF has become so popular is because it's a way to not be as blunt, but to still express something.
Sure.
You know, like awkwardness.
Yeah.
In a situation where maybe you don't want to directly say that's awkward. Especially they said in social media where it's so common you kind of have to be more direct because you're not using facial expressions.
Right.
It's just typing and just words. So the use of his face is like a way to get across a feeling that maybe is more difficult to express bluntly in like places like China. So I see why that would become very popular. And apparently Gavin has a team of promoters and managers now.
Oh, he fancy.
Yeah, so they decided to embrace his popularity. Soon after he opened his Weibo account, Gavin made a sponsored trip to Beijing to meet his fans in person.
Oh, wow.
Which generated even more memes because it was like pictures of Gavin posing in front of like Chinese landmarks and traditional Chinese dress.
Oh, wow.
And he has a store apparently on Taobao, which is a highly popular online Chinese like shopping site. And they've opened it kind of quietly, but it started to sell merchandise such as phone cases with Gavin's face on the back.
Oh, man.
And on his second trip to China in early November, he signed a contract with the Chinese internet giant Tencent to be featured in a new short video app, which is crazy. So
this little boy does not have to work ever in his life if he, or I guess his parents, invest his money properly.
Right, exactly.
Like, you're only 8.
I know. It's actually crazy. It's crazy that that's happening for him right now and so young. And apparently people have expressed concern because they're like, is he happy with all of this?
Right.
And as far as anyone can tell, he's fine with it. He said that he enjoys his fame in China and he likes like making people happy and sort of like being used in communication.
Right.
So, I mean, good for him.
Yeah. I feel like it's even better because, you know, he's not really like, you know, you hear those, you know, Hollywood star kids and then they grow up like in the media and in the television entertainment industry or whatever and all the things that they go through. It's not like he put himself there and he has to be there to do a job. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
yeah.
he doesn't even have to experience all that if he doesn't want to, and he still gets like the benefits of it all at the same time.
Right.
So that's kind of cool.
I think they were saying he lives a pretty normal life.
Right.
Because like as you're saying, like it's his image. It's not really him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you just made one movie and collected all of the money from the royalties.
Right. Exactly.
Afterwards.
Exactly.
And apparently he's so popular that his team has had to take down different sites that have tried to sell bootleg Gavin products.
Oh.
And apparently when he grows up, his management says that he wants to become a YouTube star, which I would say he's basically already there.
Yeah. Just start one.
Yeah. And people do wonder if his fame will lessen as he gets older because he won't have like the little kid face anymore.
Sure, yeah.
Because a lot of his most popular memes and GIFs are him when he's younger.
Yeah.
But his management team says they hope to capitalize on his personality, which they believe will help sell products, and that he'll continue in his internet fame for however long he wants.
Exactly. And it's like I said, if he has a good team around him who is like genuinely concerned about his well-being, they will invest his money in the right way and he won't have to worry about, you know, if his looks change drastically as he hits teenager or adulthood.
Right. And I also feel like, I mean, the Kardashians have pulled it off. They're still going strong.
I know.
Gavin will be fine.
Yeah. Gosh, I know. They're in the media. They're just using this kid's face.
True.
Which is
true.
I mean, I feel like he has the better end of this deal.
Yeah, I agree.
He doesn't
and
work.
It's not even like in the U.S.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even have to deal with it like going to school and stuff as much.
Exactly.
Although I would say like as soon as I saw his face, it's like, oh, I've totally seen those memes.
Yeah.
Which I feel like would like follow him a bit through school and stuff, but not nearly that bad.
Yeah.
If anything, it'd be kind of cool. You know, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I don't have that going on with my
Right.
face, but so we're going to take another break and then we'll come back and continue with our social media news.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the Social Media News Podcast. We are finishing up our episode today talking about a sunscreen ban. And you may have heard about this. This has happened in Hawaii. There is concern about the use of sunscreen and its effect on coral reefs. And so this has happened in the Pacific Archipelago in Palau. And it is regarded as one of the best diving locations in the world. Hundreds of varieties of fish and coral found everywhere in its reefs with an F. And in an effort to protect all of the wildlife and everything and plant life from harmful chemicals, Palau has become the first country to ban different types of sunscreen.
So what is it in sunscreen that's affecting the coral?
So naturally what can happen is that if ocean temperature rise, the algae that feed on coral and lend it to its vivid colors and everything, it can the rising temperature will cause the algae to be less prolific and the coral will bleach and eventually die. But then chemicals in sunscreen can increase the bleaching, and that can make the bleaching happen even at lower ocean temperatures.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as the bleaching happens, the algae that kind of sounds like it sort of protects and cares for the coral dies, and then the coral reef then itself dies.
This is crazy. So they must have had a lot of, sunscreen affect this coral for them to be putting a ban on it. I mean, how much are people using?
I mean, it's really sunny there, so I guess this is going on. And this is an anxiety that's not just not just in Palau. It's all over the world. As I mentioned, people are concerned about it in Hawaii, and it's been a problem there. I feel like this follows a similar measure that was taken by Hawaii, but this is the first to make a huge legal action to just ban it.
Right.
And there is an estimated 14,000 tons of sunscreen that wash into the oceans every year.
What?
It's crazy. 14,000 tons. Yeah. And the research shows that the chemicals that protect skin from ultraviolet rays are what's damaging the coral.
Oh, wow.
So this is a serious problem because everyone needs to use sunscreen.
Yeah.
And you should use sunscreen.
Right.
But it's destroying coral reefs.
Oh,
So this ban by Palau was signed into law on October 25th. It comes into effect on January 1st, 2020, so there's some time. And it will outlaw sunscreens that rely on any of the 10 chemicals like oxybenzone and different brands that have this chemical in them. So there's a bunch of chemicals that can cause this bleaching effect, and any sunscreen that has it is banned.
So is there any sunscreen that doesn't have these?
I think there might be some, but it kind of sounded like they were saying all major brands use this.
Oh, wow.
And any offending brand will be confiscated at airports, and their import or sale of it will carry fines of up to $1,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In 2016 and 2017, record heat caused 50% of the coral reefs in Australia's Great Barrier Reef to bleach. By 2030, scientists predict 90% of the world's coral reefs will be threatened.
Oh, that's horrible, too, because that's part of an ecosystem down there.
Yeah, because then where are the fish going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not good. And then I feel like if that happens, tourism will dry up in all these places.
Right.
And, it's not good for anyone involved.
Right.
People are hoping that the ban will be an incentive for, reef-safe varieties of sunscreen.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like that might be part of the reason why they're waiting so long for companies and corporations to adjust to this change. Mm-hmm. And it's a hope that companies will make sunscreen that doesn't have these chemicals, and that will be safer for coral reefs and won't cause the bleaching.
Right.
So we can hope for that. Granted, I read this and I was like, okay, well that's hopeful. But then I also was like, oh, but global warming will increase the ocean temperatures anyway.
Right.
So I was like, oh no.
How much of an effect is it going to be our fault?
I
mean,
know.
I feel like a lot of it already is.
Yeah, I mean, global warming.
Right.
Yeah.
Seriously. But with the sunscreen thing.
Yeah.
If you're wearing sunscreen, just don't get in the water.
Or just
lay on the
I don't
beach.
know, wear a wetsuit, not put on sunscreen. I don't know.
But nobody's comfortable in that.
No.
Because a lot of people go in nothing.
Right, and it's all hot, so you don't want to
Yeah.
be. I don't know what the right answer is. I mean, yeah, if they make reef-safe varieties of sunscreen, I feel like that'd be the best solution.
Right.
Unless then they find out something in that is causing problems. Who knows?
There's always something.
Yeah, there really is. Talk about things that just related to other news that I find concerning is what has been going on with some of the recent elections. There have been a lot of great firsts, a lot of hope. I would say a lot of hope.
Right. That's a good word.
But yeah, I feel like that's a good word for what's going on right now. Or at least a lot of people feel hope. Maybe not everyone, but I feel some.
I do. I
feel like there's
That's why
some
I like
good
that
things.
word. Right.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. But related to the recent elections, some of the things that I've heard is that there is some potential meddling with the election and kind of all the voting and everything related to that. So, election results came in Tuesday night. But at the time that they came in, a random website that consisted of only a single page made a claim. And they said that Russia had used social media to interfere in the 2018 midterm elections, what just closed. This may remind you of what happened in 2016 with the elections,
The presidential
elections, and all of the claims of Russian meddling. So this is concerning, and a lot of people really hoping that security would be better, this wouldn't happen in the midterms. So this is concerning to a lot of people. The website that popped up had only emerged a few days earlier, and it claimed to be run by by the Internet Research Agency, the IRA, which is a Russian government-linked troll group that indicated by the special counsel of Robert Mueller, who allegedly said they interfered in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. So the same group that allegedly interfered in 2016 is claiming they interfered again in 2018. And this wasn't the first time that people connected to this website had sought attention. Over the weekend, they had reached out to U.S. reporters and everything to try and say that they did this.
Right.
Reporters said nothing really happened besides they just said it happened.
So it's just like a hearsay kind of thing. Like, it's not...
Kind of. But... like, people weren't really sure, reporters weren't really sure. Monday night, Facebook announced that acting on a tip from the FBI, it had taken down a network of Facebook and Instagram accounts because they were concerned that they were tied to the IRA.
Oh, wow.
This Russian group. Facebook didn't disclose what accounts it had taken down. So only the FBI and Facebook and the people who made the pages were supposed to have known. But on Tuesday night, the website, this weird website that came up and made these claims, posted a list of the Instagram accounts that it said and included some of those which had been taken down.
Oh.
So it listed accounts that they said were involved in Russian meddling, which again, no one else was supposed to know, except the FBI and Facebook. And unfortunately, they got some of those, but they got them correct. So that would prove that this website did know at least about the meddling,
right?
Which is concerning.
Yeah.
So that's not good. And when they claimed that these were websites that were associated with Russia, some of it included websites that hadn't been blocked previously by Facebook. So then Facebook went down and took down these extra sites that the website was claiming had interfered.
Right.
And so really the rest is all blocked. And in some ways, people considered like the 2018 midterm election like a test for U.S. intelligence, just to see like, can we really keep this from happening?
Right.
You know, like a test on Facebook and Twitter and Google, and just to see like how protected, I guess, we were. But if it's a fact that this was going on, it was kind of going on like people weren't aware, like it was happening under our noses.
Right. Exactly.
And so that's very concerning. Or it's possible these are like empty boasts. It could also be that we don't know.
Though, because that is concerning when it's like, oh, you have meddling from a whole other country.
Right.
Not even an ally country at that.
I know.
And, you know, stuff is going down. And I feel like that was like one of the main concerns for the presidential election in 2016.
Definitely.
So how...
I don't know. So
yeah,
it's just very concerning. We're not, as I said, we're not exactly sure. And some of these websites, like some of the accounts that were created like on Facebook and Instagram were designed to appeal to activists on the left. Some of them were designed to appeal to like people who were like supporters of Donald Trump.
Right.
But then others weren't even political. Like sometimes they were just like fan accounts, like for like Rihanna or, you know, other people. And they didn't seem to like be bad. They just seemed like fan accounts. And they were talking about like pop culture and stuff. But then once they built up an audience, they would expose the audience to political content.
Right.
Like divisive political content to try and make people vote one way or the other.
Right.
And some of these accounts had like tens of thousands of followers. Had been running for more than a year.
So they set this all up from...
Yeah, I mean, if it's
why?
true,
Yeah.
then they did. And so the website posted the list of like accounts and everything. This is a quote from them. They proclaimed, "Citizens of the United States of America, your intelligence agencies are powerless. Despite all their efforts, we have thousands of accounts registered on Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit spreading political propaganda." They also added, "Hundreds of your fellow citizens are our unintentional agents, unaware of the fact that they actually act for the good of the Russian troll farm."
Yeah.
That's so scary.
That is. Yeah. I mean, but they're not like... it's crazy to me how they're putting it on blast and not even caring about it. It's like, we're gonna show you guys how much we can manipulate you, and you're still not going to do anything about it because you don't even know.
I mean, that in of itself is manipulation.
Right.
Like, it's an act of terror. Like, to instill us with fear. Yeah.
This is so crazy.
So bad. The FBI released a statement with other intelligence and law enforcement agencies on Monday. They said Americans should be aware that foreign actors, and Russia in particular, continue to try to influence political sentiment and voter perceptions through actions intended to sow discord. They can do this by spreading false information about political processes and candidates, lying about their own interference activities, disseminating propaganda on social media, and through other tactics. Basically, if these accounts went unnoticed right until the end of the election, and they are like legitly run by Russia and meant for meddling purposes, this is bad.
This is bad.
And our government and social media giants like, Facebook, Google, Twitter, they can do better. I like to at least think that they can do better.
Yeah.
And as I've said is our like new motto of any of our news shows is be careful.
Be careful. Exactly.
Be aware.
We have to end all of our shows like that.
Yeah.
Just be careful, guys.
We care about all of you. Just watch yourself.
This is crazy though too, because it's like, even if it was real, and I feel like our government would try and find, now this is just a personal kind of thought. I feel like our government would switch it to where it's not. Oh, we got this under control, blah, 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 So it's like, who do you believe at that point in time? It makes you have so many questions, not just like, and even if they did say, well, yeah, they did that, then it's like, oh, well, now what do we do about it? Because it's already happened. So are you going to stop it again? Like, what's happening? Because it's obviously that they're not really caring who they're manipulating, and it's working, to a point. So it's like, there's so many questions as far as like, who do you believe at that point in time? Right.
No, I agree. And I feel like even if they didn't do anything and they're just boasting about this and then it's causing all this discord, then they've achieved something.
Exactly. Exactly.
Whether it's Russia or not.
Right. Because then people will, if they didn't, then everybody's going to be questioning it anyway.
Right.
So, I mean,
and they still took down a bunch of these accounts. Yeah. So they were suspicious anyway.
Right.
And I know that, this is something that has already been brought up. As I've mentioned, from 2016, there's accusations and investigations into like the Trump campaign at the time, and just like, this is a big deal. And even if these are accounts that are not that never allegedly worked with like, or met with a campaign team or anything.
Right.
Even if that's true and they're, completely independently working from Russia, I think we can do better.
Yeah.
So let's be cautious.
Be careful.
Try not to let it scare you, but
it is
carefully pay attention to what you consume.
Right. And even if that's what you believe, like, cool, but don't just like delve into it and just have that posted like everywhere. Don't just go keep searching for it, because it's just gonna warp your mind even more. Like, have your beliefs, cool, but
yeah, and you're just contributing to like the peanut gallery,
exactly,
of like, do we really need more voices about this? Like, go to the source,
right?
Like, maybe go to a candidate's website,
right,
or something, or go see them in person, listen to them speak at meetings, see what they have to say about themselves, not what a celebrity account has to say about them or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope some of these news stories were informative, and I hope you tune in next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.goldenstatemedia.com. GSMCpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.